Welcome to Right on the Money, the weekly talk show with interviews you can use to help you maximize your money and optimize your financial future. Before moving forward with any of the ideas discussed on the show, always consult your financial advisor, insurance professional, or tax consultant. Looking for financial help or a second opinion? We can help you in your search. And now, your host of Right on the Money, syndicated financial columnist and money color commentator, Steve Savant.
Well, welcome back to Right on the Money and our Conservative Investors and Savers Edition. Hello, everyone. I'm Steve Savant, syndicated financial columnist and money color commentator. And in this fifth segment, our final segment, we're talking about the number one fear in retirement, and that is totally running out of money. And Eric, I have to say, this is not an unwarranted fear.
No.
Not with human longevity. I mean, we're looking at numbers. The average, and the 212 mortality tables are coming out here this year. We're going to be looking at these numbers. I look at the average American, of the last resource we did, the average male, 86.6. That's the average. And the average female, 88.8. Now, that means that half of America is going to live longer than that.
Right.
Now, I just want to think about that. So it is a fear. When we were thinking about traditional timelines for retirement, I'm retiring at 65. I'm going to probably die around 80. 15 years, call it a day.
And what's interesting, if you think about people that have taken care of themselves, and there's a difference here socioeconomically, so people that go to the doctor know what's going on in the world, take care of themselves, they take the medicines they need to, they do the exercising, they basically are balancing their body the right way. They, on average, are living, 7 years longer. And so if you think about that in conjunction with what you just said, we're in our mid-90s for a lot of the folks that are, basically have saved a considerable amount of money for retirement, but their biggest fear is, have they saved enough? So you're looking at a combination of Social Security, 401ks. Unfortunately, for a lot of people, pensions are a bygone thing. And so what are they to do to make sure that they don't have those issues of getting to their mid-90s, the time when they're not necessarily mentally as acute as they would like to be for some people, and being able to then manage those portfolios and manage those dollars to make sure that the chance they live to their hundreds, they still have dollars left.
Well, this is a great fear. I mean, I used to watch Willard Scott say happy birthday to a handful of Americans turning 100 in his centenarian show. It was great. And we have about 53 to 54,000 people in America turning age 100 or beyond. I mean, there are super centenarians right now in their teens, 115 or whatever. There's a handful, but I think we're going to be looking at this, and I saw that Professor Aubrey de Grey out of Europe, he's a gerontologist, he says the person that's going to live 150 years has already been born.
Wow.
So I'm thinking, wow, this is not a unwarranted fear. So I don't want to run out of money. I have to have a part of my portfolio. I just have to now. I've come to the point where I have to lay down a guaranteed lifetime income. It's going to be there. I like to put on a COLA adjustment to get a little step up with more money as I get older, and I think this is the way we got to go. And I want to match up. Remember now, even though Social Security didn't pay in 2016, there's only been 2 other years where they didn't pay. And by the way, a little side note, boy, talk about back in the day. How would you like to get a 14%? It was like, I think it was 14.7% inflation bump for Social Security in 1980.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, the CPI was like what, 13% or whatever?
Exactly.
It was up there. So let's talk about it. Nobody debates the issue of longevity.
Well, and you have to think about it in retirement. So you've got people in their 60s entering in retirement, and they think they need $50,000, $60,000 to retire comfortably at 60. Now you've got them in their 90s. What does it take to have that same standard of living? So your point about COLAs is very well spent. You're going to need twice, 3 times the dollars just to have that same standard of living. So we know from a standpoint of do we need to take some of those dollars and put them out there, and as we talked about QLACs, what better way of leveraging some of those dollars and setting them out there so these people that do have that longevity don't have to run that risk of running out of money.
Yeah, and Eric's talking about the Qualified Longevity Annuity Contract, QLAC. It'll give you the ability to extend not all, but some of your RMDs. You push this out into the future, and you may need it in the future. I'm also recommending, really, and I say this to my baby boomer brethren, I have to say it, you really should think about a hybrid retirement or working at least to age 70 to max your Social Security out and let your qualified plan have one more cycle in the market before you start taking required minimum distributions. I think we just have to do that to combat. Remember, longevity is a major risk multiplier. The longer I live, like I so a lot of my friends, my parents' friends are all dying in 80s, and they said, wow, we didn't have to go to the nursing home. But the longer we live, now we have the exposure of assisted living, at least at home. So that's a multiplier. Longevity is a multiplier. It multiplies my long care. I might need long-term care. 70% of all seniors did some form of that. So when I'm looking at this, I have to make my funds, and my manager, you manage funds. How do I think about that? How am I going to manage funds? I'm not working anymore, and the only income I got is Social Security.
Well, I'm a big fan of Dr. Wade Pfau's study, where he looked at taking basically the bond portion of your portfolio and said, what if we take those dollars and put them to some sort of guaranteed lifetime income product rather than bonds? And we all think, bonds, conservative investments, they're going to pay a fixed dividend. Well, what he found was that if you put those into income products, some sort of guaranteed income, your chance of not running out of money, based off his calculation, was significantly enhanced. And so, as people are living longer and having these issues, not issues, it's benefits, I guess, but as they live longer, how are they going to have those guarantees? And that's taking some of those conservative investments and moving into an income, a guaranteed income source, has a lot of benefits.
Okay, so there's a lot out there to shop. I'm coming to you as a consumer saying, I need to have money from 70, and I'm thinking that I'm going down around 92, but I think my diet-conscious, exercising wife of 40 years is going to be sitting there real close to 100. I think she's going to go.
Right.
I think she's going to be out there. So I need to accommodate that. Can I get guaranteed income on both our lives? Because I think we're both going to be living longer.
Yes, you can. And you can do joint lifetime income. And obviously, probably the first thing you have to ask there is, have you optimized your Social Security survivor benefit? Mm-hmm. And that's where we talked about living to 70. Well, it's really important, even if you decide to take one of the spouse's incomes earlier to help balance the budget and meet your goals at that stage, take that higher earning spouse, you can defer that to 70. That's a huge, huge impact, because when you don't think about it, but eventually one of those spouses is going to die, and one of those Social Security benefits is going to go away. You want to have that highest possible Social Security benefit, because that's what the survivor is going to have the option. They're going to take that benefit. They get the highest benefit. And, of course, then you're still continuing to get that cost of living option off of that right now. So
I think that's a huge point you just brought up, of the survivor benefit. What that survivor, most of them are women.
Right.
You're actually blessing your wife by delaying your Social Security to 70, because that's the number that they're going to mark on her income.
Right, yeah. We just lost the file and suspend benefit, which was a nice little tweak on that. But having that higher earning spouse defer that till 70, major impact, because of what it does in the 90s, those people that are going to live to be 100.
I think there's going to be major adjustments in Social Security. Congress is going to have to come to the table and do something. And I don't think they're going to touch too much more for the boomers, but I think everybody below 50 needs to start looking at accommodations. I think they're going to push out the retirement ages. Instead of full retirement age 66, 67, it may actually be 70. I wouldn't be surprised if they moved RMDs all the way out to 75.
Right.
I think the timelines are going to be pushing forward. I think living to 100 for the millennials may be status quo.
Yeah, I think you're right. I do. And one of the things you think about is you're starting to enter in how you're spending down your dollars. The other thing that moving some of those dollars to an income product is you take away the risk of market loss on those dollars and protect that income side of the portfolio. And for folks that are just entering into retirement, that sequence of returns is such a major impact, especially in the first 5 years before retirement, and the first 5 years, 5 to 10 years after retirement. You think about living 40 years potentially in retirement. If you had negative years and the compounding effect that those negative years could have right after you retire, if you had a down market, you're being forced to use a withdrawal mechanism out of a portfolio, can significantly hamper your ability to make it all the way to the
A lot of advisors call that the red zone. 5 years before I retire, 5 years after. Almost all the mistakes in retirement are made either side of your retirement date, either just before, 5 years before, or 5 years after. You need to be talking to an advisor. This is not a do-it-yourself process. Retirement isn't. Learning all the code, the taxes, Social Security. I mean, we talked about 4 or 5 things today that I'm hoping people are taking copious notes on, because this is really for their retirement and their lifestyle. I think that when you think about America right now, we're at the place where we're going to be living longer, where our culture of longevity and geriatric lifestyle is going to take over. Think about this. Some of the hotels that we're building today, right, are already prepping to build so that they can convert them to nursing homes and assisted care.
Incredible. It's just, you think about the number of people that are turning 65 every day now, something in the neighborhood of 5,000, 10,000 a day. I can't even remember the number, unfortunately. But the boomers are coming, and we have to be ready.
Well, that's our show for this week. I want to thank Eric Judy for being my very special guest. But before I go, remember what good Reverend John Wesley would say. Make all you can, give all you can, save all you can. I'm Steve Savant. We'll see you next week right here, right on the money.
For more information on this week's money topics, just go to our website at www.rightonthemoneyshow.com and follow Steve's daily postings on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. When it comes to retirement, money management, small business, insurance coverage, college funding, or budgeting, we have the interviews you can use.